No, we didn't see a lot of Hines Allen, but I really think her passing ability is going to help the Fever as well.
And that one gets to rattle in from Poseidon.
4 rotation players were absent as the Indiana Fever arrived in Brooklyn for their 2026 preseason opener. Players: Damiris Dantes was unable to pass customs, and Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Ho, and Tyasha Harris were all eliminated. Against the championship-caliber New York Liberty team, which includes Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart. For Jonquil Jones, it's not only a difficult situation. That is an impending catastrophe. However, amid all of that mayhem, something subtly intriguing began to emerge. Because the underdogs get their chance when the stars go down. And one player in particular made the most of that opportunity in a way that was impossible to ignore. Justine Pissett is her name. She may be the most intriguing person right now, whether the Fever's front office wants to acknowledge it or not. Player on the whole roster.
Brace, whole everything, all over the whole city of New York. Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart looking like ancient people. I ain't lying. These young ladies look sensational. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn.
Additionally, you must comprehend her background and the reasons behind her existence before delving into what transpired during that game. On this list at all is a tale in and of itself. After graduating from Vanderbilt, Justine Pissett was a guard who could actually make a basketball shot. She was the right size. She was 6 feet 4 inches tall and has the shot mechanics that scouts were fixated on. Prior to the WNBA draft in 2026, she was predicted to place in the top 10. There were real conversations about her being selected in the lottery, and then the draft took place. Names appeared on the board as pick after pick passed, and Justine Pissett continued to wait while seated. Before Indiana eventually called, she reached number 25. Her name. Now, one of the most obvious cases you might make this year is draft steals. It's not merely a slump when a player ranked in the top 10 lands at number 25. That is a present given to the Fever during a time when they were in dire need of shooting. Here's why that's so important for Indiana. This group has already. One of the most deadly passers in women's basketball is Caitlin Clark. That player receives a 6'4" shooter who can instantly catch and fire, and all of a sudden you're not simply filling roster space, you might be introducing a weapon that completely alters how defenses must combat the illness.
There's a lot to look at.
Implementing in the offseason, defense being one of them for the Fever.
Bit is so good,
y'all. Johnson with the ball in their hands. Nice pass. Timpson.
I'm not even gonna lie. The Fever bench is nasty, bro. They might have the best.
Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you are enjoying the breakdown thus far. Everything Fever is covered by us. Every aspect, every significant tale. But unless she can genuinely demonstrate it, none of it matters. It on the ground. Additionally, the preseason opener versus the Liberty provided her with a precisely unplanned, chaotic exam that uncovers a player's true identity. Here, context is crucial. With 4 important players absent. In essence, the coaching staff was compelled to assign actual minutes to players who may otherwise be on, peering in from the outside. That meant a real audition, not 5 pointless minutes, for Justine Pissett. After a blowout, genuine opponents, genuine game conditions, and real pressure. She also didn't get off to a good start. It must be stated clearly. She had a difficult first few minutes. She challenges a shot and is called for a foul that hardly registered as a contact. Then there was another whistle. This time, on a screen, more physicality is likely to ought to have been permitted. You're already thinking that this could be a night to forget after only 2 swift fouls. The audience hardly responded. The announcers continued. Additionally, you might have dismissed her if you were merely observing. That's right. However, the players that are truly unique react to those situations rather than avoiding them. Because what transpired next totally changed the course of events. Following those initial infractions, Justine Pissett began to demonstrate precisely why she was being discussed prior to the draft. The first thing that stands out on the offensive end is what sets her off. It really is frighteningly quick. Currently, she is performing in the 4 to 5 capacity, in areas where defenders aren't always ready to stop a gunman right away. The ball swings in her direction, and closeout has already passed by the time the defender's brain analyzes it. One particular play embodies This is ideal. The pass that Alex Fowler pushes from the point to the wing is not flawless. This type of pass is where most players are forced to gather, reset, and then shoot when the ball arrives slightly off goal. It's caught by Justine Pizik. Despite a defender's fierce closing, he makes adjustments in mid-motion and still manages to get the shot off in what appears to be half a second. And she succeeds. That goes beyond simply having solid shooting technique. You really can't train a player to do that. They either already possess the confidence or they do not, and the confidence is unquestionably present. As soon as the shot is taking place, it is taking place. For her, the competition doesn't exist. The hand of the defender in her face is background noise. The ball is in the air before most players would, and she is already committed, have even begun to be released. Next came the play that significantly altered the atmosphere of the space, or at least a portion of the audience. Focusing intently. When she obtains the ball in transition and notices that the floor is slightly open, she doesn't pull backhand. She simply chooses to go after setting up a half-court possession. She executes a flawless in and out against Han Su, one of the league's tallest and longest defenders. Dribble, get by her, attack the left side, and attempt a left-handed rim finish. T was ringed out. However, that is practically irrelevant because that play presented a whole different account of what Justine Pizik is, in fact. She is more than just a catch-and-shoot expert who waits in the corner for her number to be called. She's attempting to descend. She is bold enough to choose the largest, most formidable defender on the court. She then makes consecutive threes immediately following that near miss. In successive possessions, 8 points in about 3 minutes, a blocked shot, an aggressive drive, and every time she got the ball, the game's momentum clearly changed. However, this is the section that makes the entire sequence even more spectacular. She makes what may be her best play in the midst of all of that of the evening, and it is unrelated to her personal score. She cuts to the free throw line, grabs the ball, scans the defense in real time, and gives Shatori Walker-Kimbrough a-1 with a well-executed throw over the top. Bucket. It's not a play for a scorer. That is a player who is enough knowledgeable about the game to make sacrifices. Her own attempt to improve the team's performance. Decision-making, processing, and vision. In a single possession, and then she was dragged off the ground in the midst of it all. Whereas other players who were having trouble making an impression were ignored. And that's where the circumstances becomes actually fascinating, and, if you give it too much thought, a little scary. One variation of this is where, for tactical considerations, the coaching staff removed her. There is foul trouble, and safeguarding a young players. On paper, it makes sense to play minutes when she has already committed early fouls. However, there is an alternative version of the narrative, and many viewers of that game began to gravitate toward it. Because when you consider the larger picture, the Fever is dealing with a serious issue. There is a good chance that they will only have 11 players on their roster on opening day because of salary cap restrictions. This implies that some extremely tough choices will be made, cuts that will not be enjoyed by anyone working in the front office. Additionally, if Justine Pizik continues to carry out her recent actions in a prolonged, she pushes a topic that the Fever may not be ready for in preseason minutes. Teams defend themselves when, such as when a new athlete surpasses expectations and makes more seasoned teammates appear unremarkable. By contrast, giving her more rope isn't always the answer. Occasionally, the reaction is to control the narrative, restrict exposure, and maintain control until decisions are taken. Amber Cox, general manager, and Steph White, the head coach, is managing a roster that has already experienced a large amount of turnover. In the first preseason, they won't allow a talented youngster to totally derail their plans. Game if they can, and the roster struggle is actually quite difficult. Michaela Timpson is a contender. Chosen 19th overall in 2025, a player with her own talents and potential. Kimbrough Shatori Walker is on a training camp contract, a seasoned player whose knowledge is valued in the locker room despite her uneven performance on the court. Since each player contributes something unique, these comparisons are difficult to make. Walker-Kimbrough is a veteran, provides a recognized ceiling, familiarity, and minimal risk reduction. However, a player like Justine Pizik provides something much less predictable. Yet it appears that the upside could be somewhat bigger in this instance. It is the space argument. That's what actually makes the difference. When you consider the other members of this Fever roster, Caitlin Clark is functioning as the engine, Damiris Danis's size and adaptability, Aaliyah Boston's anchoring paint, and a 6 feet 4 inches shooter who can be used in a 4-5 position alters Indiana's offensive geometry. Your team is now capable of putting size on the ground and continue to shoot from several angles at once.
Coast to coast, bro. And Caitlin Clark made it look easy. Sophie Cunningham came out gunslinging threes. Sophie looked like she could have got.
Guarding that is a defensive nightmare. Defenses are kept on their toes by that lineup. Additionally, with the players Steph White at the moment is accessible, that level of separation is not a luxury. It is essential. The sincere portion of this discussion now, because if you overlook the obvious, none of this will work. Justine Pissant isn't prepared. Not quite yet in terms of defense. Right now, what you see is raw in the truest meaning of the word. Her placement is erratic. She rotates late. Instead of just flinging her length around, she knew how to use it effectively. Is still evolving. There were times during the preseason game when it appeared as though she was playing defense. By athleticism and pure instinct, as a technical foundation has not yet been established. Additionally, throughout a WNBA regular season, that will be exposed against disciplined offenses that are adept at punishing defensive lapses. This is the problem with defensive development, though IT is the aspect of the game that can be taught the most. A 6 feet 4 inches frame cannot be manufactured. You.